Hey everyone, welcome back to Giving Back AI Education. In this video, we will learn how to retrieve value from .env file in Python and what are the use cases and why is it important to do so. So without further delay, as usual, we will go to our project management board in GitHub and add a new item. For this, I will call how to retrieve values from env file. Okay, so I have created a new item here. I'm going to convert these to issue. I will assign to YT channel, and here I will add a description saying my goal here is to retrieve values from .env file in CoreSpace or any other environment, right? And this is actually very important because this file is a special file type. I will show you in a moment and how we will be using this. All right, so let me move this ticket to in progress. So that will reflect what we are going to do next, right? So this is my ticket. So the next step is I will go to my CoreSpace and create a new branch. All right, so git checkout -b, and usual practice is get the ticket number, right? So I will call it task /3 underscore how to retrieve value from env file. Alrighty, so now I am switching to how to retrieve values from env file. This is a different branch than the main branch, right? So awesome, this is cool. So actually what I did was I already created a file here before this video, but what we can do is, what you are expected to do is just right click here and copy the file and go to the root folder of the project location or wherever you want to paste your file, right? And then simply do paste. So what this does is this will just copy the template and you could edit the template file, so everything will be ready for you on the fly, right? So I'm going to close this because I already created this file before. Cool, so let's go to the next step. And so what is a env file and how do we use this? Okay, so to explain that, let me create .env file. Remember, there is no string or name before dot, so it actually begins with dot and then env. Okay, so this is a special file because we will use this file to store our environment variables. And what do I mean by that? Let's say you want to store your email, right? And let's say your email is some cool name @givingback.ai, right? Then let's say you have a password is some strong password 123. Let's add some strong characters. So let's say this is your email and password and you want to keep it secret, right? You don't want this to expose to everyone, so they will be able to access using your credential, and we don't want to do that. So the reason we use env file is to store your user specific information that is relevant to a project. And if you push your work to GitHub and other people has the same code, they can actually use the code without modifying or without having to worry about different email or password match, right? So that's the whole idea of using env file. So let me explain that by example. Let's go to our notebook here and I will write some code here. Okay, so let's close this terminal for now. We don't need it actually. So so the first step in this process is to understand, right, what we're trying to do here. And usually what type of data structure we're talking about is a key value pair. So let me briefly explain if you don't know already. right? So this is actually pretty common, especially in Python. There is a separate data structure called dictionary in Python that is also a key value pair, but usually in programming you will see this type of data structure everywhere, right? So meaning there will be a key and the key will be associated with some values, and whenever we are accessing the keys, this that will also represent, or it's easier to access the values by just calling the keys. Okay, so in this example the key would be email and the value will be the string inside these two quotation, right? And the password would be keys, and whatever the string is enclosed by the quotation would be the value. Okay, so that's the data structure. Now going back here, so first step is we want to access the information stored here, right? But without explicitly telling the notebook that this is our email and this is our password. Okay, so before we do that, what I want to show you is if you click right here on the source control icon, click here, you can see .env file is there, right? I don't want .env file to be pushed whenever I do git commit, right? And to avoid that, what we have to do is go here, right click and create a new file, create another file called git ignore. Now git ignore is another special file. It ignores whatever file or folders that you want to ignore from git. So git would automatically ignore the file whenever you push changes to the GitHub. What do I mean by that? Well, let me show you real example. Okay, let's click source control one more time, click here, the env file is here, right? It's detecting that env file is created, and if we want to add, we can click this button and add or do git add, right? But if we want to ignore .env file from this context of the GitHub or Git, what we need to do is just add star or asterisk .env. Now what this is doing is the Git technology, the underlying technology, recognizes this file, this special file, and this file has the information saying, well, whatever file you get with extension .env, just ignore it, right? Do not push it to the GitHub. So if you come back here to the source control, you should see the .env file is removed from the changes list, right? Look at that. So that's cool. That's very good, right? So we can now close this. I will leave the .env file as it is for now, right? So now next step is to access the values from these keys. So in Python we have .env library, so we can use that. So let me do from .env import load .env, right? And I hope you guys already have this workspace set up. You should see Python here, and let's do run. It shows okay, if you see green tick, it's a success. Now after that, what we need to do is we need to load .env. So this function, what this function does is whatever the values or the variables we have in .env file, when we call this function, it will load into our scope of this file, right? Scope of this file. So let's run it. It's true, meaning okay, we are successfully loading that. So now let's create another cell here. We'll create a code cell, right? And here what I want to do is access values from the env file. Okay, so I'm gonna call my email. Okay, it would be, so now we need another library, so let's import OS. Okay, OS is another library that that deals with operating system operations. So so with the help of this OS library, what we can do is you can do os.getEnv, right? So this method will actually access this file .env file and get the value by the keys. So let's say if I do email, right? If you go back here, right, I can actually click on the right hand side. So if you see here, the email is the key. So if you get the keys, it will print my email, right? Then you have to do print my email. Awesome. So let's run it. Look at that. So we have example at the rate givingback.ai. Awesome. This is great because why? The Git doesn't know this file exists, .env file exists, and even the notebook doesn't know what the value of this email key has, right? So whenever we push to GitHub or any other version controlling platform, we are only pushing the keys, not the actual credential. So this is great. Okay, so let's actually access password. My password, same process, get env and do password, right? Okay. You can see password is not printed because we still need to add that statement, print statement. So let's do my password and let's run it one more time. Look at that, I have my strong password here. Okay, so this is a brief introduction to how to retrieve the values from .env file. I'm showing you this because we are using this everywhere and it's important for us to protect our credential, especially if we are working with multiple teams and if there are different level of understanding between the team members, right? So it's easy for every one of us if we understand this by heart and try not to push the important information to GitHub so we don't have to delete the file, right? All right, so hopefully it was helpful for you guys. If you like the video, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel a lot, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.